Hey, what's good, YouTube? Welcome back to another Sunday Stack. Uh, for some reason, I got caught off guard by the time that video ended. I was just posting something on Twitter. As you guys know, we are now going live every Sunday on Twitter. We're going live on Abstract, and we're going live on YouTube. So I've got the Abstract stream kind of opened up over here. I don't really get to see Twitter because I don't think you can chat on there, but I got the YouTube chat open as well. Got so much to talk about. Hope you guys are in a good mood because, it's really hard to be in a bad mood when the market is pumping. This, by the way, is something that I have been telling you guys to look forward to for weeks. For some reason, the consensus became, you guys probably remember back in February and March when we were talking about prepare for a lot of downside. People called me an idiot, said I'm washed, said I was going to lose, said everything was changing because Trump made some announcements, right? And we saw how that went. We then kind of came down to the actual bottom at Bitcoin around 74,000. At that point, people thought it was over. They're like, pack it up, you're cooked, it's over, pack them up. And ever since, people have basically been super afraid of their own shadow. Not saying everyone, but a lot of people. In fact, every time I said we were going to rally, people were like, no, the summer's bad. We got to be stabled up. And I told you guys for weeks, you probably have another few weeks left. And literally, look what happened. And now many of you are now asking me, oh my God, is this a pump fake? Should we be getting out? I'm going to cover all of this and more on this video. So, as always, please feel free to put your questions down below. I will get to them at the end of the video. So before we get into anything, no matter where you are, make sure you're following. If that's on Twitter, on Abstract, on YouTube. Share the video with someone you know, because I know there's a lot of bad information out there. You may have friends who listen to Alex Becker, that dumbass, or a bunch of other stupid people who are actually making your friends get in their own way. Make sure you sort of point them in my direction. Point them to someone who has literally proven to you time and time again that they're not emotional, that they continuously come in here and tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, and somebody who wants to see you succeed in this bull run. Also, like the video and all of that good stuff. And if you want extra coaching, guidance, and support, and find some pretty cool opportunities that are only exclusive within the Web3 Secret Society, that is my paid services. I also got private video calls, which, by the way, I will be shutting down very, very soon, just because I just don't have the time to do as many of them anymore. And obviously because, we're in the thick of things. So obviously my time is better spent on chain, better spent finding more opportunities. So we'll be shutting that avenue down. So probably going to offer that for another few weeks. With that being said, let's get into the topics. So we got 6 today. The first, as always, is the market update. Then we're going to talk about, is it time to take profits? We'll talk about stablecoin farms and sort of the role that they will play for you right now and for the rest of the cycle. We're going to talk about the Hyperlquid trade. Many of you are starting to come around on Hyperlquid. It's funny, no one wanted it when it was like $10 or $13 because of the FUD around the HLP vault when Binance was trying to basically bankrupt that vault by sort of running through this like perpetual sort of nonsense with this like weird token that they launched. So we'll talk a bit about that. I'll talk a bit about the market arbitrage opportunities. I'm going to share one that was shared in the private Discord as well. And it's not to say that that's not a thing you can still do, but I want to make sure that the people who support me sort of get that information first. And obviously, I want to teach you guys so that you know how to look for these in the future, because a lot of what I do is not just here to tell you what to do, but really I want you to learn. I want you to be able to do this on your own, become self-sufficient, so you don't need someone like me, right? That's the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is not to have someone to hold your hand through everything, because I won't always be here. You need to learn sort of better concepts. You need to do more things right than wrong and do that consistently. And that's going to make sure that your P&L is green and your portfolio continues to grow, which is obviously sort of what I hope is the outcome that you all want. So after that, we're going to go into the questions, okay? So first things first, the market's doing pretty well. Let me just zoom in over here. The coins we care about, Bitcoin basically hit an all-time high of $119,000. Ethereum is not even close to its all-time high, but very nice to see that it was over $3,000 at a couple points in the last couple of days. This was something that a lot of people thought was never going to happen again. As always, one of the things I will remind you of is people start to normalize things. So let me give you an example. If you were to win the lottery tomorrow, you win $10 million, anybody who I tell right now is going to be super pumped. They're going to be super excited. This is incredible. But after a while, you normalize things. On the upside and the downside, it's sort of a human response, right? You are not going to wake up every day super pumped you won $10 million. You may think that right now, but eventually you will have adjusted to that new norm. Same thing that happens when one of your loved ones passes away, right? It is meant to be a coping mechanism. Otherwise, you would forever feel down. Like, I'm not saying you're not going to feel down at all, but you'll start to see sort of that being muted. The same thing goes when we talk about Ethereum, Bitcoin, whatever other tokens that you've had that have had some really bad things happen to them. Think about Ethereum, right? I think it was like February 1st or the end of January when we went all the way from 3,300 to 2,800 overnight. It was a massive red candle. This after about 6 weeks or 3 or 4 weeks of trading from 4,000 to 3,300. We went to 2,800. Then we went from 2,800 to 2,100. Then from 2,100 to 1,600. Then we deviated below to like 1,380. When that all happened, every single person was pissed. They were unhappy. They were like, that makes no sense. ETH was 4,000. We haven't got an all-time high. But slowly, you just accepted it. What happened? All of a sudden, 3,300 became your new norm. Then 2,800 became your new norm. Then 2,100 became your new norm. Then 1,600. So when the things are happening in the opposite, you don't remember how you felt on January 31st or February 1st. No, you're thinking about how you felt recently. And how you felt recently was, oh my God, ETH is 1,300. So now it feels unnatural to see ETH at 3,000 and people are like, oh my God, we got to sell it now before it goes down. But you're forgetting everything that happened. It wasn't like ETH went from 4,000 to 3,300, 2,800, and you just basically went long like crazy hoping for it to go back to 4K. You didn't. So I just want you guys to remember, because a lot of people are very short-sighted, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that you have normalized the previous price action, and then the current price action is foreign to you. It's a surprise. You're not comfortable with it, but just give it time and just let the charts play out. This is why it's so important not to let your emotions take a hold. This is why we drew those plans. Guys, we literally drew these plans on the live stream back in February. Go load the videos. Literally said we're going to go to 1,600. I didn't think we were going to go to 1,300. We deviated a little bit below 1,400, and we sort of have ramped back up. All the arrows are playing out exactly how I said they would. The problem is when we were at the top, no one thought we would go down. When we were at the bottom, no one thought we would go up. But guess what? It's happening. Now, one thing you should be looking out for with this rally is the fact that certain tokens or coins are bigger outperformers than others. I hope it's very clear to you which ones those are. For example, Bitcoin is obviously an outperformer. Why? It hit all-time highs. Ethereum, it may be outperforming slightly because you can see here last 30 days it's up 18%. But Ethereum really underperformed, so it is outperforming, but it's not an outperformer for the cycle, although it is outperforming for this time period. XRP, on the other hand, you guys remember end of December, like the 6 weeks in like mid-November to like end of December, XRP went from like 50 cents to like $2.70. Sort of, I don't think we have an all-time high on XRP, but like I believe it's getting really close to the XRP all-time high from 2017, 2018 cycle. But it did break the highs, I believe, or it came close. It touched the resistance of the highs from this cycle. BNB, not so much. Solana, complete underperformer, which was, Solana was once the number one of the best performers, right? Going from $30 all the way to like $270, $280 at the top of the Trump launch and sort of Melania launch and whatever. Ever since, it has been a massive underperformer. In fact, a lot of people were taking some hedges by longing other assets like Ethereum or Bitcoin and shorting Sol. Dogecoin's another example of a token that's completely fallen off. Dogecoin basically was a bit of a proxy on Elon Musk, right? It became the Department of Governmental Efficiency. Elon is not the best standing right now, given sort of who he's picked fight with and whatever. Honestly, I don't really care. For me, Dogecoin is the Dino coin, so it's whatever. Tron and Cardano, kind of whatever, we don't care. Hyperlquid, however, look at this baby. All-time highs every single day, almost, right? Like today, all-time high, basically like $49. Incredible. $10 billion away from making it into the top 10. This is one of the best performers of this entire cycle. This is why it makes such a huge part of my portfolio. You also have Stellar, which has done incredibly well. Stellar is sort of a beta to XRP. It's not one that I invest in, although I know, for me, XRP is just a better bet, but can't go wrong with Stellar. Sui, Chainlink, Hedera, kind of like whatever. Like Sui, okay, kind of not that sort of insane runs that we were seeing at the end of last year. Then we got a bunch of other tokens, so these are whatever, okay? Obviously, I'm still pumped on Pepe and Aave and stuff like that, but on the bright side, what we have seen overall and what I want you to take away is that market's been going up, green is good, and if you can just take one thing away from here, I'm going to show this again later, take a look at these ranges, okay? I think a lot of people need to visualize it this way. So I drew this out before the video. Let's go to basically right here. So this is when the top of the March of 2024. When we topped here, we literally range bound all the way to election night, if you guys remember, right? Think about this. We literally went from that March 11th candle, that is the March 11th week candle, all the way to November, right? So that is 8 months of sideways price action. Obviously, chop, 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 chop. What happened? We then broke out and then we created a new range, right? So that was November all the way to literally this week. And this week, we finally broke out of that range. This is why it's so important. What I want to frame it for you guys is the fact that we went from sort of topping over here at top to break into the new range. So we're going to basically do what we did over here, right here, right? So we are literally right in this area. If you guys can see these three candles, these three green candles, we are there right now. We are literally forming them right here, likely somewhere between like 122, 125. If we go higher, who knows? But that's going to start forming our range. We will know exactly how we're doing based on where Bitcoin tops here, okay? In other news, if you guys have checked out some of our favorite penguins on chain, the Pudgy Penguin NFTs are on fire. A lot of this has to do with the fact that Alex Onchain basically got the Coinbase company to put Pudgy Penguins as their logo. A lot of other companies started doing the same thing. This has also, led to a rise in the Pengu token. If you just look over here, massive outperformer, 33% up today. Once again, I think this is incredibly bullish. And also, if you guys remember, I have been sort of harping on you guys to make sure that you look at the abstract ecosystem. One of the things I was telling you guys for a couple weeks, not last week, but a few weeks before, you should be looking to pick up some Penguin NFT assets if you have the capital. And the reason I said that was as we approach Q4 of 2025, people are going to start picking up these assets because they want to lock in the abstract airdrop. They're going to be significant abstract airdrops. As a reminder, you got 100K USD worth of Pengu token, right? So if you sold it on candle 1 or candle 2, you got about 100,000 US dollars, right? That's why the Penguin NFT at the end ended up around 30 Ethereum, right? So these are some incredible assets. If you haven't picked up one now, I'm not saying it's too late, although I think you might be better off picking up a little Pudgy. I believe little Pudgies are 1.35 ETH. So they're probably a more economical bet, and they're also not even broken the May high from 2 months ago. So for me, that's what I'm looking at, whereas the big Pudgies have already broken that high. So for me, there's a fundamental mispricing. I believe that currently, with the current price of big Pudgies, little Pudgies should be worth somewhere between 1.7 and 1.8 ETH. That market misprice is your opportunity. Just letting you guys know, right? Compare the charts. This is literally, if you look at this over here on little Pudgies, we haven't even broken this high, right? We haven't broken this high. So just think about that. Because remember, it's all relative, especially when it comes to the airdrop. And those little Pudgies also did that massive move back in December of 24. So is it time to take profits? Well, a couple things that I would talk about here is number one, look at the fear and greed index, right? And before we even look at the fear and greed index, what I want to remind you guys of is number one, when everything was like dumping, right? People were super afraid. Like they were like, what's going on? My assets are so valuable, right? Now that we've had a couple days of green and we haven't made all-time highs on Ethereum or most tokens and Bitcoin has been breaking out, you don't want to be selling early on. People who sell early on are more gun shy. They have been punished so much by the chopping that we have done this cycle, right? Let's go back to Bitcoin over here. If you didn't buy and sell, if you didn't trade while we were here on your tokens, you literally got chopped, right? Like I remember Solana was a very good example. 130 one day, 140 one day, 130 one day, 140 one day, 130 one day, 150 one day, back to 130, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So there, that was one thing. However, here, like I said, we have not topped on Bitcoin. I will not be selling any of my tokens unless I'm swapping into something else, unless or until we have basically topped on Bitcoin, albeit at least temporarily. That being said, you could also probably take a look at the greed index, right? Fear and greed. We are in greed, but we are not in extreme greed. I would wait for at least extreme greed before you look to take chips off the table. A lot of people sort of were already taking chips off the table with Ethereum and others. And then what happens, people message me, oh my God, I'm waiting for a pullback and whatever. I would never be waiting for a pullback when Bitcoin is in price discovery. That's just very foolish, right? Like, just think about every single time Bitcoin breaks out. It just sort of zooms up and everything rallies with it. Once it tops, that's when you see sort of a lot of sort of that structure sort of shift, right? People will either start taking profits or you start seeing people sort of, get out of the bus, leave one token and start piling into one or two outperformers, right? That's what we saw with Sui and Sol. So taking a look over here, remind you guys of this. I haven't drawn these arrows in a long time. These are from what is this, like a long time ago. But if you take a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, one of the things that I was talking about a long time ago was I was waiting for basically, so this retest happened, like I sort of drew. This didn't really happen as much, but we didn't go all the way up to like 70% on Bitcoin dominance. We've already started to top over here around 66. So does that mean we're not going to go up? Maybe we're not. Maybe we will. We'll find out. But basically, the real place to take profits on your altcoins for the cycle end is right here, between 43 and 39%. This has historically been a fantastic area to take profits when Bitcoin dominance is this low. This is when, past cycles, you probably heard of those days where people were getting like 100, 200% gains on tokens. Never thought it would end. It was in that sort of area. And then people start selling all their stuff. This is why Bitcoin dominance goes back up. So once again, we're not even close to that, but just keep this in mind. And then obviously, like I said, just look back at Bitcoin, look at the ranges, right? We are breaking out. This is the daily chart, right? We are breaking out of the range. We've literally chopped for over half a year. And now that we're breaking out of the range, people want to take profits. But literally, you should be waiting until we hit a stop. Then we start range bound, and that's when you should take profits, because likely what will happen is you'll start seeing some fatigue, some retracement, a retest, and then a rally, etc. could break up more. Maybe it just stays in that range for the rest of the cycle. Who knows? Taking a look at Ethereum, on the other hand, Ethereum has not even come close to breaking 4,000, right? So this is where we topped for this cycle, at least back in December. Ever since, here's those red candles, right? How many times, how painful were these red candles? This was the most painful right here. This long one where we got the liquidation wick all the way to 2,100. This is sort of when Eric Trump's like, buy Ethereum. And then the next day, woo, all the way down, right? So we have gone through the tough of it, and we are literally flipping the most important area. When that gets done, we should hit 4K and then rally up, which is what me and a lot of other people who've been investing in Ethereum have been waiting for so long, right? Like so long. And as you can see here, if you take a look at the Ethereum Bitcoin dominance, you can see here that we finally bottomed, right? Ethereum Bitcoin bottoming, or ETH BTC, right? Literally has to bottom, and then in the the sort of peak of the bull market, it literally sort of tops over here, right? So this is what we want to see. People who are waiting for so long for this to happen, and looks like we finally have it. Would hate for this to keep going down, but who knows, right? Like the Bitcoin has been a very, very good performer this cycle, as always. So I hope that makes it very clear about taking profits. I'm not saying you shouldn't. You guys know I love taking profits more than most, but I would say don't get ahead of yourself and sort of take profits on things before you start seeing Bitcoin topping. It's just not a winning strategy, right? It's just not a winning strategy. Like you could win, but you're leaving a lot on the table in my belief. Okay. So the next thing is stablecoin farms. So this is actually a very interesting topic because a lot of people have been bringing it up in discussions. One such example over here. So this is Open Eden. So this is, in my opinion, the best stablecoin farm. I did make a video on this. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. I obviously have a referral link if you want to use it. But here's the thing. Stablecoin farms are fantastic to use when you don't have use for stablecoins. There are points of the times in the market where you want to be fully in the market or as much of the market as possible. And then once you take profits and you have your stable. So for example, let's say we go back to Bitcoin, right? Let me draw this out. And let me take the brush. So let's say Bitcoin goes like this. Goes like this. Goes here and it tops here, okay? And then it goes like this. I'm just going to draw some stuff out so you can see what I'm talking about. So when we're in this range, right, when we're doing this, sorry for the shit drawing. Basically, once we have sort of hit that range and you start taking profits, don't be looking to just sort of, a lot of people will take profits and then go, oh, we're breaking out. Like, let me buy here, let me do whatever. No, just think about selling. When you sell and you have your stables, great. Put those into stablecoin farms like Open Eden instead of just throwing them into the next into the next big token that's already rallied so much, right? So this is sort of the approach that I recommend. This is actually why I was trying to be as exposed as possible the last couple of months. And then when I take profits, what I'm going to do is they're going to go into my stablecoin farms. Because once again, you can make a lot of money here. Like Huma Finance, I put in 15,000 US for 3 weeks and got a couple $1,000. You know what I'm saying? I think Open Eden is going to be a lot better than that. But you got to sort of get started as soon as possible. Like I said, I have a video guide. I don't think I linked it down below, but I will after this video. So this is what I would do with stablecoin farms. Don't feel the need to sort of sell use your stablecoins right now to buy the tops of whatever. I'm not saying it's topped, but once again, if you have enough exposure, don't feel the need to sort of just use your stable coins to buy more. If you get a dip opportunity, then maybe break your stablecoin farms to do it. And then at the top, sell and put it back in your stablecoin farm. Those are sort of how I play things, okay? So the next is the Hyperlquid trade, okay? So many of you will probably remember back in March and April, we were coming down. So we were here at $28, $27. And I remember people were like, oh, do we buy the dip, right? Because we were at 30 something at one point. And we're saying, no, guys, we want to wait for $14 and below. Well, we came to $14. And then all this FUD started happening, right? Do you guys remember Binance had this whole token listing thing that they got listed on Hyperlquid. Then they started shorting it to sort of drain the vault. And the way they would do this, right? It's a weird thing. They would basically enter a massive position and then remove the liquidity so that the vault would have to take on the entire responsibility. And then Binance would go and try to short it like crazy, basically manipulating the vault so they could exploit it and try to make a lot of money. And then when Hyperlquid stepped in, CZ and Bybit were like, this is not decentralization, man. You can't do this. But these guys are cheaters, right? Like Bybit's full of scumbags. Bybit's the worst company. We'll talk about that in a second. But this is all the things that were going on. And because of that, some people were actually shaken out of buying Hyperlquid. I used to make videos telling you guys, ignore that stuff. It won't matter when you look back on it. And I hope some of you listen because, you would have gotten an incredible deal, right? Like $9, $10, $11 on Hyperlquid. And since then, we have literally just gone in a straight line, straight up, right? Now, the Hyperlquid trade is a bit complicated because obviously a lot of people missed out on Hyperlquid. I did sort of share within our private group last year the best strategy on how to farm season 1. I did a sort of workshop. I made it public after so people can see it now. But basically, there's a lot of people out there with a bunch of bad information. So in my opinion, Hyperlquid is fantastic for obvious reasons, right? Number one, the fact that they didn't give any tokens to VCs. It went 100% to community. Jeff's building in a fantastic product. Hyperlquid is literally like an on-chain Binance, and now they have Hyper EVM the chain. And as you know, all the revenue fees, or most of them, will go back into buying the token, so you have the moat. Now, there is an unlock happening in November. It's not a significant one, so I'm not too sort of concerned by it. But there's also another thing, which is potential of airdrop number 2. I do include what I believe to be the best guide on how to get in that airdrop down below. One thing I will say is, as with every chain, you have a bunch of grifters who come on and all they want to do is sell you their shit NFTs or jump into some bullshit project. You gotta be very, very careful, right? And what I will say over here is just remember, most people who are talking about Hyperlquid are doing so to show referral links. I have basically in that guide removed all the garbage that everyone is posting about so that you can focus on the most important things. So with Hyperlquid, you want to earn the Hyperlquid token, right? Hype. Number 2, you want to earn the Felix token. So that's the sort of the Aave on, it's like sort of the Aave sort of platform on Hyperlquid or Hyper EVM. Very, very good. They got FEUSD and everything else like that. And then you have Unit, which is sort of Hyper Unit's token. Those are the 3 things I think you should be focusing on. I cover how to sort of address all that down below. Now, one of the things I will tell you is, as this becomes more consensus, you're going to see a lot more people talking about it, right? It is almost a top 10 token. And I want to show you exactly, like, you guys have seen my farming wall a lot. Take a look at this. Majority of my on-chain money is now in Hyper EVM and Hyperlquid compared to Ethereum, Base, and Arbitrage. It should sort of give you a hint on how much I'm prioritizing this, right? And once again, it comes down to just, you want to have as much hype as possible. And obviously, like, for me, I also want to have UBTC. UBTC is the unit BTC. I have videos to all this stuff on the YouTube channel. Like I said, make sure you watch these videos. For me, this one's the most important one, the one I made 3 weeks ago, which is a lot more dissecting and into the specifics on how to make a footprint on Hypercore, which is the original application, and then Hyper EVM, which is sort of the their chain, right? And if you want to see sort of like if you want to see like what you get within the Web3 Secret Society, here's a video from last year where I literally walked through how to get the Hyperlquid airdrop, and the people who sort of followed that instructions made a lot of money. Most people who are sharing instructions on how to get Hyperlquid token didn't qualify in season 1. And I did it by starting so late. I started like May or June of 2024. Okay. So let's take a quick sip and then we'll talk about market arbitrage. Okay, so for people who aren't sure what arbitrage is, it's like basically everything in life is an arbitrage transaction, right? What arbitrage does is basically you find inefficiencies and you try to make money out of it, or you try to make an opportunity out of it. So for example, if you think about like, people want to book like a hotel room, right? There are lots of resellers who will literally buy rooms in bulk from hotels, and they will sort of charge a little less than the hotel does in order to sort of make money. In the market, the way it works is you literally want to find inefficiencies the way something's priced. So if you can find Hyperlquid for $48 on one exchange and $49 on another exchange, that is a $1 difference, right? And if you buy 1,000 on one and sell on the other, that's $1,000. So one of the things I've been talking about is arbitrage. I've shared some sort of things on pre-markets. Let me show you something that I have been doing for the last week or so. It's been printing. So the first thing is I look at Whales Market. So this is World Liberty Financial. World Liberty Financial is like associated with Donald Trump or something like that. So here's a couple things. Number one, before we even get into sort of the associate exchange, one of the things that you're able to do on on Whales Market is you're able to actually buy lots, right? So over here, there's full and partial. If it's full, you have to sort of buy the entire lot. So this would cost me 134,000. No thanks. This cost me 361. Okay. If it's partial, you can buy a piece of it. So one of the things I would do is I would click on these and I would go to the side and I would see the pricing. But as of yesterday and the day before, you could buy these lots for about 12 cents. They were listed at 12 cents or 12.5 cents. And then I would literally buy them and you're able to resell them. All you do is after you have the position, you hit exit and you pick the price you want. You hit exit and you can sell whatever price you want. And you're selling something that somebody has already sold to you. And then you don't have to do any settlement. And literally it was probably one of the easiest things I did. If I show you over here, look at how many of these things I did. So if I go here, like this is a 12 cents. Where is it? You see here, filled 5,000 at 600. It's already settled. Why? Because I sold this at 14 cents, right? I just literally kept doing it. I kept doing this so many times. If you look at sort of my wallet history over here, let me go to Ethereum. Let me show you transactions. Let's go over here. You can see Whale. Hey, look, 693 from Whales, 693 from Whales. But I paid Whales 625, right? I paid Whales 625. It's literally one of the easiest things I was doing, making about 60 to 70 bucks on basically, what is it, $600. So it's a little over 10% per transaction. I did this over I think 10 or 11 times. I just literally rinse and repeat, just kept doing it. It is literal free money. Most people, or most influencers out there posting a bunch of garbage on the timeline trying to make money that way. I'm literally looking for arbitrage opportunities and continuously taking advantage of them. Now, even beyond this, and what I was doing even prior to this was I was taking a look at the difference between the World Liberty Financial on Whales Market and the World Liberty Fi on MEXC. And you can see here on MEXC, people are now buying at 21 cents. And over here, you can get them for 13.5 cents, right? So because you're able to hedge, one of the things you could do, and I'm going to share sort of what I've done. I bought basically 10 figures on each. Like I've done 10-figure sell orders on here and 10-figure buy orders. 10-figure buy orders on Whales and 10-figure sell orders on MEXC. The way it works is I buy the tokens here and I have them selling over here. And then when the market needs me to settle, if they don't give me the tokens in time from Whales Market, I will just go and buy this on spot for whatever price it is. And then I will sell the Whales token at the spot price as well. So whatever happens, I end up making the difference. Now, the only time that this sort of has a wrench in the machine is, let's say the price of this token, instead of being 13 cents, it goes to 30 cents. Well, then from a market perspective, the person who's selling it to me just has no benefit to doing that. They could just lose the collateral, right? Because it would, they would, if they lost the collateral, they actually make more money than by giving me the thing at 13 cents. And then I have to sort of make up for it on this side. So the only way that this sort of doesn't work for me is if the price skyrockets by so much. But at the same time, that almost rarely happens. You could also buy a bit more tokens to pad from that. And also your downside is limited by the amount of collateral you put, right? So let's say this opens up at $1. Well, all I lose is my collateral and I gain the collateral I bought at. So I would lose the amount I made on profit. So the downside is capped. But I want you to recognize, just take a look at these insane opportunities, right? Literally, you can sell at 21 cents and you can buy at 13 cents. These are all the opportunities that are out there. Many of you are out there posting bullshit or following idiots on the timeline telling you to do whatever. There's so much money to be made. There's so many inefficiencies, and you need to keep looking for these. I'm not going to be sharing the ones I do all the time, because obviously when I do that, what ends up happening is I end up fighting with everybody else for the opportunities that I found. But these exist all over, and you can find them everywhere. Now, one such example that you got to be careful as well is, if I take a look, right? So this was the pump sale that happened yesterday. This is Bybit, which, by the way, I will after this video, I will never go on the website again. These guys are one of the worst exchanges. I gave them a shot. Yesterday, me and many others were incorrectly told that we were successfully buying the tokens at 0.004 cents. Now, let me tell you something. The reason I bought this at 0.4 cents was because you could already see on the actual market at the time, it was basically going for about 5.8 cents, or sorry, 0.58 cents. Now it's going for 0.63 cents. So that's already a 50% opportunity, right? Because all you have to do, like Confidence says here, is you buy the tokens on the pump launch, you short them on Hyperlquid, and literally what happens is you basically make the difference. No matter what happens to the price, you make the difference, right? You may have to pay some funding fees and whatever, but so be it. Now, what happened with Pump Fund, which kind of screwed some people over who did this, was they got told that they were successful. Then Pump Fund told us a couple hours later, hey, you know what? I know you paid for the tokens. I know we took the money from you. I know we said it was successful, but we had an issue with our API and we're going to cancel all but the orders that came in the first 4 seconds. So I had an order at the 14th second of the launch. Even though they told me that it was successful, apparently it wasn't. And I could have bought it somewhere else. And they said, oh, don't worry, Brown Gent, we got you. We're going to give you a $20 voucher to use on spot fees. Thank you for supporting Bybit. Thank you for your business, And obviously, I took all my money out of the shit exchange, because let me tell you something, guys. You never want to be on an exchange where when something happens in your favor, like when you make a trade, you get something, they'll refund you the money. But hey, if Pump Fund dropped to 0.003 cents, I'm sure they would have said, oh, sorry, we'll fill your orders, don't worry. That's what they do. So be very, very careful. People got screwed by this. And yeah, so I basically sort of covered this here. Like they said, hey, we're basically going to give a bit of a waiver here and whatever, like $20. But it's unacceptable because the sale was going on for 12 minutes. But Bybit basically made sure that people literally didn't go buy anywhere else because they were under the impression that their orders went through here. But that is literally sort of how it happened, but it is what it is. Okay, so hope that sort of makes sense with arbitrage. There's so many things you can look for, guys. What I don't want you guys doing is just being dependent on the market being green, because let me tell you something. Most people make a lot of money when the market's green, and then they lose money everywhere else. Like they lose money buying NFTs, they lose money doing whatever, they lose money trading, but they make money only sort of through their spot bags. If you are not good at any of those things, just don't do them and just do spot. But if you can sort of practice and learn how to find good arbitrage spots and take them, that's probably going to be one of your biggest money makers this cycle. Okay. So with that, let's get into your questions because we're about 40 minutes in. All right. So we got Chai here saying hi, bro. We got a few people watching on Abstract but no questions. Okay. Pachao, hey BG, hi, how's it going? We got Greg in the house. Hi, Greg. We got Sanjay. We got B Mark. We got Infinity. All right. So Baltic with the first question: will ETH go to 10K or not? I mean, it's a very hard question to ask. Let me go to the ETH chart. So I will look at this in steps. Let's do this. Right. So ideally, we're going to first flip the 4K mark over here, likely by August, in my expectation. Don't want to sort of give you guys false hope, but I would be surprised if we don't hit 3,300 this week. I'll be honest with you. Maybe next week. But in the next 2 weeks, 3,300, I think. 4K, probably in the next 6 weeks to 8 weeks. But this is the real spot we want, 4,800. Once we do that, that's when we get price discovery. People say 10K. I used to think 10K when we were literally here in December, but look how much longer it's taken and we're down. So I would be more likely hoping for between 6,000 to 8,000 at this point, and I'd be happy with 10K. But it shouldn't matter about where it's going to go, yes or no kind of thing. I think what should matter is what does the rest of the market tell you? What's the confluence, right? So if we have a lot more access to easy money, then prices will go up much more, much longer. If Bitcoin tops and we start seeing sort of all that stuff I showed you about Bitcoin dominance, then hey, it doesn't matter what the price is at, that's where it tops, right? Hey JP, good news. Market's pumping crazy. Yep. Hope you guys have been paying attention. I'm sure you guys have. Hopefully the people who put the money in, put the time in, didn't get pissed off and leave when things got tough. You guys are reaping the rewards. Big ETH 6,000 in 2 months. Yeah, I mean, I think ETH 4,000 in 2 months for sure. I don't know about 6K, but I think 6K is in the cards for sure. Jordan, today's a good day. Yes, it is. Do I think the tariff announcement tomorrow will affect the market? It's kind of hit or miss. Like maybe it will, maybe it doesn't. It's one of those things where like there's only a number of times you can sort of freak the market out on the same thing, right? I think if there's another war announcement for another country or something, like let's say Taiwan gets invaded, maybe that doesn't. NW, wow, NW changing it up. Doesn't say yo today. All right, cool. Just a good day. How are you? Do I think holding Pudgy? Yes, I do. If you just hold a Pudgy NFT, what I believe, so here's what's happening. When the abstract chain launched, the Pudgy penguins all started crashing because people thought there would be an airdrop on day one for some retarded reason. No idea. And the way the Pudgy NFT, and I want you guys to recognize this, a lot of Pudgy NFT price is in leverage. So you can actually go on Blur, and what you can do is you can basically loan out your Pudgy penguin. And what people do, and this is what they did last year, was they would buy Pudgy, lend it out for like 60% of its value, buy another Pudgy, do the same thing. And they would basically spiral up how much Pudgies they own, right? And then they got the airdrop and they would basically sell off the Pudgies, right? And then what happened was there were people who did the loans, didn't pay off the loans, kept the Pudgies levered up. And then when the Pudgies started coming down, you could see all these people getting liquidated on their Pudgy penguins, right? And the worst part is for the people who lent them money, a lot of people who loaned them Ethereum for those Pudgy penguins at the price that they were at, literally, didn't even want the Pudgy penguin at that point because you could literally just go and buy it off the market. So it was like really, really weird. Now, I think what's going to happen is right now, if you have a Pudgy penguin, you get like an XP bonus, right? So you get your XP and then you get a bonus on it based on your role in your Discord. And, if you have a Pudgy penguin or whatever, right? So Pudgy penguin gets one, little Pudgy gets one and everything. But there's going to be a separate airdrop specifically for Pudgy holders and little Pudgy holders and little Rod and whatever. Lucanet already said that. His words were something like, you've got to be crazy if you don't think that Pudgy NFTs and that ecosystem are not going to get airdrops from Abstract. Okay? I think it's going to be massive. Like I said, I think the little Pudgy is undervalued by about $300 to $400 compared to the big Pudgy. 0.3 to 0.4 ETH. Yeah. Okay. You back? Awesome, man. Hey, Chris, how's it going? Hey, Luke's PC. Congratulations on your viral tweet today. I believe you got like 40,000 views and whatever. Nice. Honestly, I would be interested to find out how many yaps you got from that. That should be like a boatload of yaps. Probably like 50. You know what I mean? Should be sick. Good luck. Where do I think Pengu will hit this all season? No idea. I would say probably 10 billion market cap, probably possible. Here's the thing: what Lucanet has been saying is he's trying to decouple like the Penguin stuff from crypto, right? He's more focused on building the IP, right, of the Pudgy Penguins brand. And in his opinion, he's like, okay, crypto goes like this, right? Up and down, up and down, up and down. IP is like like this. So he's trying to find that intersectional where like the Pengu token is going to keep increasing in value. There's going to be like a sort of base minimum, and then the crypto is going to keep pumping it up. So 10 billion market cap, likely, probably even more. So, but like I said, don't know. ETH hasn't pumped that much yet. Yeah, I don't think it has either. Remember, you would have been happy to get this buy back. We're currently what, 2090? So that is. Let's go over here. So we are now back in April territory. You know what I mean? How crazy is that? What am I saying? Not April territory. Sorry, I'm an idiot. I looked at the wrong chart. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. We are now back in like end of January. So that was that big candle, right? So I'm not saying it's not that it's a bad buy. you obviously would have, if you were able to buy it when I was telling you guys to buy it, like literally at 1600 and 2100, and even last couple weeks, even better. But if you don't have exposure, then I say, yeah, why not? And remember, nothing I say is financial advice. Hey, Brown, how's it going, man? How you doing? Am I buying anything right now? So that's a good question. So people have been asking me, okay, well, I'm sidelined. What do I buy right now? So first thing I would say is, if you don't have any positions in anything, feel free to buy like a starter. So, let's just say you got $100,000 in stable coins and I got no crypto exposure. Buy like a couple $1,000s in Bitcoin, ETH, and Hyperlquid and whatever, right? And then if the price goes down, you can buy more. If it goes up, whatever, right? That's one approach. The other thing you can do, so let me sort of go here. Out of all these tokens, the one that I believe is undervalued, or kind of ones that I believe is undervalued, I still believe Hyperlquid is an incredible buy, even at this stage. I know some guy was telling me early today, oh my God, I'm not buying tops. You don't have to, but literally, for me, Hyperlquid is not topped. In fact, we're breaking that range. So for me, I bought it at 46 yesterday as well. And I already got thousands of hype, but I'm still buying it. You know what I'm saying? Another one is Pepe. Pepe, in my opinion, is a good buy. Obviously, it's an ETH beta. Aave is also a very good buy. Just take a look over here, right? I still think that's good. XRP is okay. I probably wouldn't touch it right now. I wait for a bit of a retracement. If you can get 270 or below. Ethereum for sure. Ethereum, I believe, goes to 3,300 in the next week or two. It's not bad. And then Maker. For me, Maker is another DeFi play that has been sort of lagging. Maker has been lagging the Ethereum move the last week and a half. Okay. Where would you go to counter spot / 1x leverage trades from Hyperlquid to generate volume? I would not use Gravity. I would use Backpack. So TB, if you can KYC, I would use Backpack. And I have a code if you want. But basically, the way it works is you get interest from your assets. If you deposit Ethereum or stablecoins, not only can you use it as margin, but you earn yield when it's in your account or being used as margin, which is incredible. Okay, so you're making even more money. Also, it's very good because of the way the funding rates work on there. They actually built this whole basis trade thing, which is good. If you don't want to do that and you're saying, okay, well, I don't want to KYC or whatever, look at Lighter. The Lighter point system is likely going to be right now, I believe, very undervalued. I think points are currently worth $6 or $7 in the OTC market. And for example, I'm not saying they're hard to get, but I would do that because obviously you're looking to farm Hyperlquid basically, right? And you might as well get the rebate by farming Lighter. I would not touch Gravity though. Gravity also requires you to KYC, but the benefit on Backpack is just way better. Expectations for Linea and Mitosis, probably very, very low. I got 21. I'm diamond on Mitosis Expedition. I got 70 plus referrals. Linea, I got 5,000 or 6,000 LXP or whatever. I think they're both kind of meh. Remember, Mitosis could be interesting because of the whole Yarn platform. Linea though, who's going to use this? Who's literally going to use Linea? I can't think of anyone. Is it possible I have one YAP, but I'm top 100 of different projects? Luke's, what I would recommend you do is check out that dashboard. So it's a dashboard. I'm going to post this in the chat. It's star 777 whatever did it. So you can. I posted it just now. The link in the chat, and you can put your name in, and you can find out exactly where you stand on whatever leaderboards. And it's beyond top 100. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Andrew Cameron. That's right, man. I'm so glad I got this thing as well. Usually it's a thumbs up in the Canadian flag. Now I got this, nice. Eclipse coming this week. Yes, it is. Will be very, very interesting. Very, very interesting to see what happens with the airdrop there. I'm very interested to see how Alucard and the team handle this, right? I got a couple ASCs. Would be nice to see what they get as well. I don't know why my friend got 75K views and Kaito only gave him 10 yaps. Yeah, so the way yaps work, right, is I wish I could show you mine because right now the Yap website's kind of lagging or whatever. The API is shit. it depends on who engages with your post. The more Kaito thinks that you had people who are like more valuable to them, the more people in the inner circle will kind of like and sort of interact with your post, the more yaps you get, right? So I think I made a post about Sonic like last week. I got like 10,000 views, and I got 100 yaps from it, or like 95 yaps from it. It's ridiculous, right? So that's very, very important. So like it looks at the quality of the engagement. So like not just what they did, but who it was. So if you get Vitalik to respond to one of your things, bang, like you know what I'm saying? That's what you should be focusing on. Obviously, focus on quality content, right? I think Hype will be going to at least 80. Yeah, I'm expecting at least $100, but yeah, 100%. Like I think Hype's gonna keep going up. Once again, I take profit on Hype when Bitcoin tops, and then I'll buy back. I'll not sell all of it. We'll sell some, and then obviously buy back in. Sorry, it was 1.9. Yeah, no problem. But trying to get the airdrops and wondering what I can do. Yeah, 100%. So this is what I mean. So like, if you follow that guy that I posted and you're looking at Hypercore and you're looking at, okay, great, you have some spot, right? So remember, buy your spot, hold some hype on the platform, stake the hype, right? I wouldn't bother with putting money in the vault. That was important for like season 1 before they really had anything, right? And then perpetual trades is cool, right? And then obviously like, so getting that volume, but also if you want to counter trade somewhere delta neutral, then yeah, use lighter. Okay. I held most of my airdrops and lost so many gains. Yeah, I mean that's a story as old as time, right? Like how many times have I told you guys like this literally always happens with the exception of a few, and you can probably tell what the few that are good are, right? Like everyone knew Hyperlquid was fantastic, whereas you look at Scroll, you look at Mitosis, you look at Linear, you're like, come on, like, who wants to hold those drops? You know what I'm saying? Like, why? Like you just don't. Like look at Fragmetric, sold it right away. I got told, oh my god, there's gonna be so much crime in this chart. Yeah, the only crime was holding on to it. I was able to verify 3 walls for Caldera, and other walls are bad babies. Yeah, sucks. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: like, airdrops are a nice rebate, they're a nice bonus, but if you don't use them, if you don't cash them out, you basically got like nothing. You basically volunteered for those projects, which you really never want to do. You know what I'm saying? You really never want to do that. So that's probably like the way I stand on it. That's why like it doesn't make me a genius for selling my airdrops. I just recognized very early on that every time I held my airdrop and it was a shit project that I didn't like, I was not happy. In fact, you guys know I sold my Kaito airdrop and then Kaito proved itself and I bought it back. This is what happens, right? So sometimes a project will happen and they have a reason to have your token, right? So I think that's the whole thing. Hello Hill G, have you been going for the airdrops of the Pudgy Penguin DAO? I don't even know what that is. Definitely send that. The biggest problem I have is like I am literally in so many telegrams and discords that I can't keep track of everything. But if you see something, definitely let me know. Ontario hitting the mid 30s this week. You know the humidity. Oh god. Really? So Dubai is hitting 50 degrees this week. So I don't know. I will be flying back to Canada very, very soon though. So got my flight booked. We'll be traveling back. Should be interesting. To take care of some stuff over there. But I'm pretty much leaving my stuff here, but just going to take care of some stuff over there. Should be cool. We'll be there for a little bit. Maybe we'll do some videos over there. Who knows? All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We're pretty much at the end of the hour. If you like the content you saw, obviously hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Abstract, YouTube, Twitter, wherever it is. We'll be doing some more live streams, playing some games, playing some poker on Abstract. If you haven't already, make sure you follow me there. It should be interesting. And until next time. Oh, one more thing. I almost forgot this. Guys, does anyone remember what's important about this number? 125. What's very important about Bitcoin hitting 125? Does anyone remember? Because I sure do. If you guys remember, when we were, I believe, maybe it was like here, or maybe a few weeks ago when we were like 100K, I told you guys, once we hit 125K, I'll be giving away $2,500 US on the live stream. We'll be doing the sort of Burj Khalifa background, right? So we are literally very close. What, $6,000 away. We'll do a live stream, banger. We'll give out 5 people. We'll win $500 each. That was sort of what the vote came out to. So don't forget that. I'm not going to be advertising it because obviously I want the people who come to this to actually win it. I don't want people just showing up to win that. Okay, so very important. TB, if you could message me on Twitter, I'm happy to give you one. I do have them. I have not been sharing them because I don't want people to waste them. So if you can DM me, DM me on Twitter or reply to something on Twitter, and I can DM you with the code. Okay. Yeah, man of people, 100%. Like I said, this is not for promotion. So guys, I will not be telling anyone. If you guys tell people, so be it. But I would rather somebody or 5 people who come here regularly win. For that stream, please come on YouTube because I literally can't engage with people on Twitter. I won't be able to do it. Okay. So if you're watching that, I mean, you'll know we're at 125K. I'm not going to make the announcement, but you will see it when we have that stream. Okay. All right, cool. I'll snap. All right, sounds good. All right, thanks guys again for watching. As always, hit the like button, share the video, subscribe. See you later.